Welcome to Tuesday's Tools on Purpose at the Business on Purpose podcast. Tuesdays are all about equipping you with the tools that you need to run your business with intention and purpose. Our mission here at My Business on Purpose is to liberate business owners from chaos so they can make time for what matters most. My name's Patrice Miles. I'm one of the coaches on the team, and every Tuesday, I love to dive into the world of tools because in a world where your time is your most precious asset, finding the right tools to streamline your operations can really make all the difference. So, in each episode, I bring you interviews with experts, share success stories, provide step-by-step guides to empower you on your business journey. But remember, guys, it is just not about having the right tools. It is really about how you actually use them to create meaningful and fulfilling businesses. So today's topic is storytelling, and I'm super excited about our guest today. Our guest is Austin with Aspen Studios, and Austin is a certified Storybrand guide. Austin and I were actually connected through a mutual friend. And when we met, we actually realized that I had attended one of his workshops on story branding over 3 years ago. Austin actually sent me this book, Storybrand. It says, Building a Story Brand, Clarify Your Message so Customers Will Listen. And I'm super excited. It's next on my list to read. So, Austin, welcome to the podcast. Can you tell us just a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity, Patrice. So, a little bit about myself. I think it would only be fitting if I kind of told it in story. As with many people, I've been on a lifelong journey to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. And while I'm still on that journey, where I've kind of landed is helping businesses implement story into their day to day in a compelling way to help them grow. And that kind of what got me here. Grew up in Kentucky and just really loved working with different nonprofits and organizations. I was in Boy Scouts, and so just that do a good turn daily, has really stuck with me. And got plugged into a bunch of organizations through the university, and just loved making an impact. Fast forward a few years, through that impact, I was working for a nonprofit in the Portland neighborhood of Louisville, Kentucky, which where we were living was the third poorest census tract in America. And for me, it was shocking that that was in my own city. And so I worked for a nonprofit there where we did a lot of youth development and, how do we empower people to really unlock their dreams and bring their ideas to life and really achieve their fullness and their purpose. And while I was at that nonprofit, one of our partner organizations connected me. We became friends, and then she connected me with one of her friends. And fast forward, that's how I met my wife. And so we've been married now for 3 years, going on 4 years. But yeah, really just trying to figure out how we can make an impact in the world. And let's see. I'm trying to remember before we recorded what all to kind of talk about in this segment. A year ago, we moved to North Carolina, and I'm still continuing to grow our business with clients all over the U.S., even from our little house in the woods. But it's really enjoying the change and starting kind of life together where everything is new compared to living in Louisville for 30 years. And I had my favorite spots.
Yeah, I understand. Well, thanks so much for joining us. Can you just start off telling us what is storytelling?
Yeah. So storytelling at its core, it's a sense making, process, but away from like the actual definition, right? Because we don't remember definitions. And I actually think the reason why is in itself story, right? Back to the beginning of time, people have been passing information through story. We've been passing life lessons through stories. And, the key is, that it's a clear and compelling story so that people remember it. Think back to when you're growing up. How did you learn a lot of life lessons? Whether it was your parents reading you a book before bed or, telling you stories from their childhood or watching, TV shows like Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers. If those shows were Elmo or Mr. Rogers getting on and just telling you information, kids wouldn't watch it, right? But it's always done through a story. Story
Yes.
is captivating, it's compelling. How come we can scroll quickly on our phones through hundreds of pieces of content, but then go sit in a movie theater for 3 hours? There's story in it. Captivates us and just really invites us in and captures our attention and makes it memorable. Even like you think of the Bible, right? It's full of stories. And,
Yes.
even when Jesus would go to teach a lesson, what did he do? He'd tell a parable. What's a parable? A parable is a story, right? And we remember these stories And so why don't we do the same for our business? So many times business leaders are like, well, we've been in business for about 20 years and, we do this and really just trying to grow. Okay, where's the compelling? Like, why do I care? And so for us, it's really how do we use story to create clear, compelling, and memorable elements that when we talk with people and we share people, they walk away of like, I need to connect with that person. We need to stay connected. We need to work together. And that's what I love, about story.
I love that. So tell me, how should small business owners use storytelling?
First off, don't overcomplicate it. I think it's very easy when it comes to thinking about story of, wow, we gotta do all these things. We gotta perfect it, right?
Yeah.
Think about, anytime you tell a story, the first time you tell it, like, all right, you might, people might ooh and ah, or they might check out. And then the next time you tell that story to the next group of friends or whatever, you get better. Doing that for your business, it's a process, right? But we want to make sure that we're implementing story across the board. Every day as a business owner, you're communicating with team members, you're communicating with customers or prospects or partners, and what do you want out of those communications? Well, you want them to take action on a specific thing, or you want them to remember you and maybe come back and take an action another day. You want what you say to them to leave an impact and be memorable. You don't want them to forget what you just said. And so we can implement story in everything that we do, whether it's our team communications, whether it's our communications with customers, whether it's the way we market to people. So for an example, a story of two chefs. Okay. So one chef, he's at a cocktail hour and people ask him, well, what do you do? And it's like, well, I'm an at-home chef, cook meals for families inside your home. And you can call me and I'll show up, but been doing this about 30 years and really enjoy it. Well, what's the natural reaction? Everyone's like, oh, people leave some questions of like,
Yeah.
that's neat. Can I afford that? Like,
Yeah.
that's probably for other people. That's not for me. Another chef, same cocktail party across the room, similar group of people. Someone says, hey, what do you do? And he says, well, you know how in today's day and age, I mean, there's families running all over town with soccer and softball and Boy Scouts and
Mm.
the after school activities, and then
Yes.
you have work, and you have all these things come into play, and then there's play dates. Life's really busy, right? And so a lot of times that leaves families catching food on the road, or
Mm.
getting takeout, and it's always the kind of in between, and they never really get that time with their kids and with each other. I'm an at-home chef, and so I come into families' kitchens. I prepare their meals for them. They're healthy, they're nutritious, so that way
Mm.
families can have more time together in a way that not only feeds them nutritiously, but feeds them at their soul level and at that family level. Which one do you think gets more business? Right? Like you're
Yeah.
not wondering, can I afford this? You're like, that's what I want. I
Yes.
need that. You are so right. How do you know me and my family? Like, and so how do we implement that story into how we communicate with customers? And so, there's a few ways you can do that. You can learn story, and there's, the book I sent you is kind of how I got started on this journey.
Yeah.
I got this book through a book club and read it and was like, this puts structure to what's been so hard to communicate of how we're doing what we're doing. And I'll tell you, we applied this to basically door to door field life insurance sales
Mm.
process. And we saw it transform the business. And
Wow.
we applied it to our sales process, but we also applied it to our training process, our recruiting process, and how our team did things. And through that experience, like if this can do it for this business, then what else can it do it for? And so when I started Aspen Studios, I was like, we got to get this storytelling out to more businesses across our community because it's super powerful.
Yeah, I love that. And more than anything, Austin, I love hearing that you guys have implemented this in your own business. And of course, you said my magic language, which is systems and processes. So it sounds wonderful. But before we go, is there any additional information that you'd like to give our listeners about storytelling?
Yeah, as I said earlier, getting started, it's really starting with what your story is before you try and figure out where to apply it, right? And whether it's picking up this book and just reading it and learning what those elements are to craft your story. Don talks about, there's 7 components. There's, the character who has a problem, right? Who meets a guide and the guide shows them a plan. And then, they can either go towards success or failure, but they have to take action. And if they do that, they'll have a transformation. And so there are those core elements of a story. And, this book will walk you through it. If you're listening to a podcast, you're that auditory learner, you're watching this on YouTube, there's also podcast Marketing Made Simple, which is a great resource because not only talks about story, but how to implement it into your business. And then there's also a course where if you like this visual style, then you can, take the course. But for me, I'm a doer. I got to do it hands-on. And so, if you need that help where you either read the book or do the course and you start applying it, but you need help, that's kind of where we come in. Is we can either coach you through it and guide you through it, or if you're like, Austin, I am busy. Like 2024 is going to be a big year. I know this is important, but we got other things to do. We can also come in and support you and do it for you or do it with you.
I love that. Well, guys, you heard from Austin. He, of course, can help you with this storytelling if you don't want to DIY it yourself. Austin, thanks so much for joining us. If people are interested in talking to you more about this, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Yep. My email is austin@growwithaspen.com. And that's our website, growwithaspen.com. If you go to growwithaspen.com/storybrand, then that actually has all the links to the book and the course. And I think it's even like a 7-day free trial for the course. So you can get in and just like consume that and like get to work without, having to spend anything. And also some opportunities if you need help or coaching, but growwithaspen.com. And then my email is just austin@growwithaspen.com.
Sounds good. Well, Austin, thanks so much for coming. Guys, that is a wrap for Tuesday's Tools on Purpose. Enjoy your new tool storytelling. But remember, every small action can lead to big results. So what action are you going to take today in regards to storytelling? Write it down and then go and implement. For those of you that are just tired of living in chaos and you're really ready to start working on your business instead of in it, please feel free to contact me at patrice@mybusinessonpurpose.com. I'd love to connect with you and learn more about your business. We also have our Healthy Business Owner Assessment for those of you that are brave enough to take it and find out how healthy your business really is. It takes about 7 minutes. Kevin's going to put that QR code up there and also the web address for you to take that test. Again, guys, as I said before, a 0 is not good on that test, but a 40 is excellent. So go find out how healthy your business is. Otherwise, I will see you guys next Tuesday. Thanks.